What's up, Guardians? It's Doodle here from Doodles of Destiny. Today I will be breaking down Week 2 of Destiny 2's newest 6-player activity, Astral Alignment. From the mechanics of each encounter to the new end activity boss, Crew Udix, a Reefbane Scorn, or as I like to call him, the Scorny Crouton. In Week 2, Bungie managed to fix the issue with the encounter Prevent the Ether Harvest, which I could sadly say I did not cover in Week 1 due to bugs and issues. But as this encounter is now fixed, we can dive in and farm some Scorn. When you load into the Astral Alignment activity, you'll notice that it's basically the same as the week before. You'll start off at the Blind Well clearing the Room of Scorn and their army of giant zappy frogs, or as you probably know them as, Lost Abominations. Once you have cleared the Room of Scorn, your quest step will update and you will be teleported into one of the next 3 encounters. Collapse Taken Rifts, Install the batteries, or Prevent the Ether Harvest. When you load into the Collapse Taken Rifts encounter and activate the beacon, you will notice a bunch of markers pop up on your screen. These markers highlight taken captains who you will have to kill in order to get an orb. Once you pick up this orb, you will receive the debuff Taken Essence Antumbra, and your gun will be replaced with Taken Essence, which can shoot projectiles. But don't hold on to this orb too long, because it will kill you, as I found out the hard way. Anyways, once you have said orb, you will see prompted waypoints around the map telling you where to deposit the orb and close the Taken Rifts. While you are closing rifts, Taken Champion mods will appear along with large Taken Knight mini-bosses. Once you have closed on all the Taken Rifts, you will be teleported to the next encounter. If you have loaded into the encounter Install the batteries, you will be facing a little bit more of a team-oriented mechanic. After you activate the beacon in the center, hordes of Scorn will appear. Once you quickly defeat them, 3 batteries will appear on the altar table at the bottom of a very steep hill. When you pick up the battery, you will immediately receive the debuff Encumbered, which will greatly decrease your speed and mobility for 20 seconds. While the debuff is active, you must begin making your way back up the hill to the top where your waypoint is prompting. When those 20 seconds are up, the battery will drop from your hands if you have not yet dunked the battery at its waypoint location. You will also receive the debuff Exhausted once you have dropped the battery and will be unable to pick up another one for about 10 seconds. I still find the best way to run this encounter is for one person to carry a battery and another to follow close behind, staying ready to pick up the battery in case another player drops it. This will allow you to finish this encounter quickly and efficiently. While you are running these batteries, there will be 2 very annoying shielded Scorn abominations pelting you with their zappy lightning. You will not be able to damage them until you have dunked enough batteries, so remember to be ready for when their shields suddenly disappear. Once you have charged the batteries fully and killed a bunch of Scorn, your quest will update and teleport you to the next encounter. If you have loaded into the Prevent Ether Harvest encounter, you will be fighting off hordes of Scorn while destroying small blue wisps that are being sent to dead servitors. The zones you defend will change as you progress through the encounter, and watch out, the Scorn have unstoppable Abomination Champions and Overload Chieftain Captains. But other than that, this encounter is basically kill and shoot the wisps. Once you have fully prevented the Ether Harvest, you will be teleported to the final encounter. The final encounter will be back in the Blind Well, and if you thought this boss fight would be similar to the boss in Week 1, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Crudix, aka the Scorny Crouton, has a combination of speed that can be matched by the Trickster and holographic technology similar to the Rifleman, RIP Sundance. Here you will face the Scorny Crouton in 3 phases. Once you clear the Scorn in the room and Scorny Crouton's holograms, you will be able to do DPS. At the end of damage phase, Scorny Crouton will spawn a servitor in which you will need to prevent the Ether Harvest. If the Ether is harvested by Scorny Crouton, his health will regenerate. So there you have it. Rinse and repeat that and you'll have the Blind Well back in control in no time. Now if you're by chance wondering what's happening with Osiris, then do I have the lore tab for you. This episode's lore tab comes from the legendary auto rifle Chrysura Mello. It reads as follows. There's a saying among con artists. Half the fun is showing the mark which the cup hid the ball before you take their money. Savathun understands, In her crystalline prison, she reflects on all her surreptitious winks and little nods, the risks taken and the boundaries pushed to keep herself entertained and her worm fed. Before, Osiris stumbles as he walks through the last city. Beneath his robes, something erupts in a frenzy of motion. He pauses to compose himself and then walks on, trailing careless splatters of black fluid. Before, Osiris watches the crucible match unfold. He does not cheer for either opponent. When a ghost appears to revive the defeated warrior, Osiris leans forward in careful study. When Saint places a hand on his forearm, Osiris holds impossibly still just to see what the other man will do. Before, Osiris sits by the campfire as Crow and the Guardian share a drink. Osiris watches them with rapt attention. Crow is laughing. He passes the bottle, and Osiris, hands numb, puzzles at it. His mouth hangs in a half-smile before he takes a long drink, slaking a bone-deep thirst. Before, Osiris takes a shaky step forward. The high celebrant howls in the catacombs, and he hears his sister's voice buried in its roar. He feels his heart beating in his chest, and is so enraptured by the sensation that he forgets to be frightened. Before, Savathun, physical form, a twisting instar, emerges from the shadows and crawls over the shattered pieces of the ghost. She reaches toward the ruined man. Before, Savathun squeezes through the calcified channels of ascendant energy and manifests with the dangling Akamara skull. The man standing below the netting senses her appearance. His light flares as he draws his weapon with impossible speed. She has only a moment. She pushes her face down through the ropes, opens her mouth, and sings. The man stops, then slowly holsters his weapon. He turns, crosses his arms, and forgets. She melts awkwardly back into the skull as best she can. Through a tangle of spindly elbows, licorice black still juts from its sockets. She turns her attention to her quarry across the gap and hums her song softly to mask herself. Soon, the man below begins to hum along with her. She smiles. So wow, that's a lot. What do you think is happening through this lore entry? If you have any ideas or leads, please leave them in the comments below. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and as always, this is Doodles of Destiny.